Hello everyone, Crypto 365 is live, and today we have a crypto update from one and only Clif High. Let's see what kind of tokens or cryptocurrencies Clif favors for 2018. Crypto number 1, Bitcoin, and Clif answers to the following question: what happens after Bitcoin's mining is over and there is no more Bitcoin to be mined?
Well, we'll still have dozens of transactions, and now we have things like Rootstock, in which there will be smart contracts running on the Bitcoin network. So there will still be an incentive for miners to mine, because they'll still be making money, because people will still pay fees to want to run their smart contracts and do their Bitcoin transactions. And at that point, Bitcoin goes into the category of a really solid digital asset of a known quantity. And then you have the total scarcity factor that pops in.
So in 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto launched Bitcoin as the world's first cryptocurrency. The code is open source, which means it can be modified by anyone and freely used for other projects. So 2 years later, 2011, and Litecoin was announced. Crypto number 2 is Litecoin.
Okay, so Litecoin is showing in the data sets is going to a 1-to-4 ratio with, it's actually 1.5 or 1 to 5 something with Bitcoin, and becoming a very favored, and it's shown that in the data sets for some time, being a very favored point of sale in use kind of a coin. And so this is just, perfect with our data forecast is this latest news about Amazon considering using Litecoin for payments. I
was sure this was a fake news, but many people have jumped on and started to ask Amazon support about this. And it looks like it's really coming. Early this week we found out that Burger King Russia was going to add Bitcoin and Litecoin support line. And now Amazon. And guess what? If this is in Clif High's data, I feel it's coming.
So in that sense, it's fulfillment of the forecast we've had for some time, and it will drive Litecoin up relative to the Bitcoin price. Litecoin, everybody needs to understand, is basically a clone of Bitcoin, in which they've just done certain things to it. But basically it's the same code base from which the Bitcoin exists. And so it's rock solid that way, and it's just a little faster because of the way that they decided to take it. And then there's a team behind it that sells the whole protocol there.
And here it comes, crypto number 3, and it's the Pillar.
Pillar, I don't have a dollar amount projection on, but I know that Pillar is going to be at a point where it's going to be the primary wallet to compete against. Okay, so if you're in the wallet business, Pillar is showing in our data sets as bringing out a lot of features that are going to make it hyper attractive to people as the early adopters start coming on in. So many of these people will experience cryptocurrencies for the first time through the Pillar wallet. And this will really start taking off March, April, May, and go whoosh with all of the activity from May onward.
Pillar coin is a meta token. What I really believe is that our upcoming business models for many projects that we use on daily basis will be provided by this token, Pillar. And here I give you an example. Let's say I go to a doctor, and the doctor does some tests and gives me a prescription for a few pills. All data from this visit and the recipe will be copied to my Pillar wallet. Then I can manage the prescription as I like, including searching for offers from pharmacies and of course paying attention to the lowest price and fastest delivery. Personal data is becoming increasingly important and difficult to manage. We're losing nearly 500 billion a year against cyber criminals. Hopefully, Pillar project will fix it. And here comes coin number 4, and it's Populous.
Now let's see, Populous. Populous is going to be a strategic hold. It's going to be a passive income kind of a generating thing. And so in a sense, years from now, people will look at Populous the way that, like we've had the phrase trust fund kids, whose parents are so rich and they leave a trust fund. This will be the kind of thing that Populous will engender. A bunch of kids that will be an annoyance 10 or 15 years out from now because their parents got so rich on this stuff.
Wait a minute. What about coin number 6? Ethereum.
Ethereum is going to be a major competitor to Bitcoin, but it's going to get up and down because of the niche that it's in. It's competing against EOS, or will be soon competing against what everybody's going to be calling the Ethereum killer, which is EOS network. But it's also now going to start competing against Rootstock off of Bitcoin, because you'll be able to run smart contracts on the Bitcoin blockchain. And so Ethereum is going to have more competition. It'll have to get its act a little bit tighter, get the network a little bit better. It'll continue to gain value as we go forward. A lot of these things are going to be gaining value on the theory that a tide lifts all boats, right? And so they'll be rising proportionately, but not necessarily extra proportionally the way Populous or a Pillar might, because of their individual situations.
Well, thank you, Cliff. But what about the small cap tokens?
Popular.
Yeah, I can go into a couple smaller capitalization coins.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be careful though, because some of these things I like just because I like the code. It's well expressed. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have a big market adoption, right? But we could say that in general, those coins that are related to the interaction of the cryptocurrency world with the fast food world, the McDonald's world, the bread and butter world, where you can swipe your card. Okay, so if you're looking at payment systems that allow you to spend your cryptocurrencies on real world stuff are going to be a real solid investment. They're going to be that would be like owning AT&T stock in the 1950s. Okay, because AT&T was a transport layer for this new burgeoning world of commerce that was conducted over the telephone. Most people don't understand it, but prior to the early 1950s, commerce for telephones was actually relatively rare. And it was the introduction of the national grid in a particular way that led to the idea of even being able to do any business on the telephone. And then ultimately look where we're at today. And so imagine that the payment layers are going to be like AT&T of the 1950s. And so that would include like 10X, Centra, and a few of these others that have cards and have mechanisms for spending them. Some of the other coins that are I like because of their code base and or because of their use case, and I'll mention two of them, and they both show up in the data sets, albeit at small amounts of chatter, so I can't be reliable about what is actually being forecast. But these are Monero and Cloak. Okay, and so Monero and Cloak have a special use case because they're much more private coins than is on available through Ether coins or blockchain or Bitcoin blockchain. In that sense, if I put my address out on a saying I accept Bitcoin donations or whatever, then you can actually look at that address, go to blockchain.info and see what has been sent to it. And if you knew it was associated with me, then you would be able to say, aha, this stuff was sent to Clif. Monero and Cloak have these obscuring layers that remove that ability. So it's truly a lot more anonymous. Now that's both good and bad. It allows those kind of coins, should they have a volume or capitalization, to be used in illegal activities. I suggest that that's not very likely, because real money laundering and this kind of stuff is done in billions of dollars at the level of banks, and no cryptocurrency is large enough to accept any kind of money laundering at this stage, including Bitcoin. You couldn't stash enough. You couldn't move the drug money through Bitcoin to launder it. It would make Bitcoin go to $1.5 million per Bitcoin right away, just because of the trillions of dollars of drug money on the planet.
Well, I'm honestly not that impressed. Those two coins, Monero and Clock coin, were already mentioned while Cliff had the interview with Greg Hunter a year ago. But I really believe Monero will skyrocket whenever privacy issues arise with Bitcoin.
The blockchains, all of them, this whole shift is making it very difficult for all of the illegal activity that bled us over the course of all of my 60 plus years on this planet and all of your lives. Every productive act you've had has had some level of it siphoned off to support what we now know is this giant deep state of secrecy that we don't know what the hell they're doing with this money, but we've got some idea, and there may be, space aliens involved, that kind of thing, right? And the blockchain removes all of the obscuring that can occur in the spread of corruption, because you just can't really corrupt a node on a blockchain. You can go bribe a banker to keep quiet about what you're doing, right? Threaten them and so on. But it's awful hard to do that with somebody's wallet. So this kind of stuff really shows in the blockchain, and it's going to eliminate a lot of the corruption layers, which of course makes our society, our species, so much more able to survive. Because instead of the corruption on top of all the middlemen, and both are going to go away with the blockchain, because it does away with a lot of the middle level of activities that don't really add value. They just siphon off some of the profits, so to speak, right? And it's going to be great. We're going to see increasing spread of the value, the benefits of this as we go forward over these next couple of years. We're even now seeing the new companies bring out products, Veritasium, Populous, Pillar, and all these kind of things. So people saying, cryptocurrencies are beanie babies or tulip bubbles and that kind of stuff. It's like, well, no, not really, because this stuff does things, and it does things hyper efficiently in a transparent way that we're all going to want to be behind. And there's this rule out there. I want to say that the guy's name is Metcalf, and he invented this rule, and it's basically a business or a technology rule, and it has to do with what Jenny was talking about earlier, which is basically attention market. Okay, that's what they're calling them in cryptocurrencies. That all of us together, all of our consciousness, the hearts and minds, we're an attention market, and within that attention market, some things are going to win and other things are not. The attention market itself is valuable to know about, but the manipulation, or not the success of the attention market is itself a compounding and combining kind of a process. And this guy Metcalf says, within the attention market, the more eyeballs you draw to a product, the more valuable that product is. The more valuable a product is, the more eyeballs it draws. So it's a kind of a positive feedback loop thought of within relation to how humans are in their focus and energy and things. So, and we know this is true. You can demonstrate it in small groups, you can demonstrate it in large groups. The more eyeballs that use Google, the more valuable Google becomes, the less valuable the other search engines become. So as we go forward, blockchain sucking in all this attention, getting more attention, it's building, it's compounding, there's more and more conferences, more people are finding out about it. All of it becomes more valuable simply because we're putting our attention on it.